each one of us has gifts. Each one of us has talent. What do you do that doesn't get you tired, even if it's midnight? Have you discovered it? Let me tell you, if you discover that which you do without ceasing, there is your job. There is your enterprise. There is your business. What tools drive wholesome community recovery? Leaders should know how much distance ahead of their people they are walking, because leadership is as strategic as followership. So let's demonstrate. Okay? Bandika put, okay. There? Give me that. No, give me that rope. Huh? See where my shoe is? Huh? Okay. So I need you to do the same. Face there. Turn. Come here. Just the way I've done it.
Then kita ala dit kita timna kwere. Yeah, won't it timna yor.
So I'm holding.
Kumano. Won't yang
Okay. So you can come and replace me. If they now see what to do. Come. So just a bit of caution.
Win my baby.
The feet must come up together and
go
back down together.
Together.
Your steps must go up, down together. If any one of you messes up, another will not move. Are we together? Ready? So, one. Two.
Rio. Polo ye. One lawyer. Uniang only when don't you able to Paloma. Chano Porogo. Yeah. Don't you matter Joa. Mary. Hey yo. Polo ye. Make Tiago Perro. Hey yo. Hey ya. Hey yo.
All right. That's enough.
Amen. Don't you forget Joa.
It takes more than one. But it's not enough to get together. We must have a symphony. And the people should see that we are synchronized. Whoever wants to come in our middle, we will say, get off. Don't talk about my brother behind or the one in front, because we will lose. Finally, this story should teach us that failure can be repaired. There is such a thing called repentance. When a brother falls down and they repent, forgive them, welcome them, because everyone will fall at some stage. I thank you so much.
So it's like we have been fighting against a manipulative spirit. No, for us to even start a business and grow, we need an enabler. Somebody who will lift us up and hold our hands. Where are we going to get this enabling support? That should strengthen our idea and our visions. Thank you so much.
We are talking of changing the mindset. Many, as the other brother of mine has just said, many have the abilities, the potentials, and the talents. However, one thing that we are facing in those especially who are trying to make things move, the cost of doing things. Sometimes we are not looking at the hand from the government to help. However, we are looking at incentives or enabling factors
watini ano kin ma weko timme
We are looking at some few tax reductions.
watini ano kaki twa ko wel mu choro piny
Personally, for the time I've been here in Acholiland,
Ja-
the agriculture here needs to be mechanized. But the cost of a minimum agricultural equipment or implement may not easily be afforded by a common man who may not even access a loan or access funds from the government.
let's work together my brother ano wajo ni ngom ti kan mo je ti mabe dong du ngom benetek mag ji gere ti erotek cha mo kene la fu mo kene ni pere ke gero wek eni fu a ngom ni gwak ki twakta wil twakta no tek ko no ini no me fu ge man mabe mano ini charro kelo ge mama be etu ker ma wek ini non ki twakta enani pere
Because
ino chere rinka dem be petime mete
when you look at I will use at the minimum of a walking tractor.
no gwa tractor man ma
The
yini chor chor ke
minimum,
tini
the minimum set of implement will cost you around 18 million,
gwa ke wek inong itwer wil gwa
which is not common for a common person
Pay yot,
that wants
kinga
to
pabiru.
put money and time into
wak
that.
am we char ku de wek eni nong million para bon pe yot
Now, the other part I can also talk of. I'm
Give
sorry,
me back to Allo,
this might sound a little bit political, but I always tell friends,
twer winye char
politics
tu vi
determine our livelihoods. We
Era
cannot
wajo ni-
escape from it.
amar waje kilu remani a tu vi bie do
There
ya
are
dam
a
ma
lot
twer
of,
ya ke ye
there is a lot of distracting factors.
bal ti ma pol ti ma bal duong
The time one, I will talk about bettings.
kon wa ker lo
I will
ku tu
talk
kuma
about the drugs which I'm seeing. Many of them are sold even on the streets of
a
Korea.
ti
We
ki ya
can all
ma lu
agree.
ter ma ti ker ma tek
We, as the government,
wan ma chal gament
or we as the authority in charge,
onyo wan ma chal wi twer ma
have
ti
allowed some of these things to take root and foundations
wa
into the
ye
lives
ni
of
ti
many
mo
of
ken
the
ni
youth.
enani liet ko donyo ma tut o carro je mo ken ma we ko down twer down kwere o
When you start at the culture of the betting clubs in here,
kayinde nero kin me ruam mi to luguma kiro ti kan
fine, they could be making money for for a few individuals,
twer be ki ga ye nyome chene nyogi ti kelo chene ching joma na
but these are areas that are open 24/7.
ine no ka be ma no ke yabo ti u jawa
They
piari
never
ba mwen
close.
na bero
And majority of the people attending into them are the youth who should be
Dultano
engaged in
magitiaro
some
kuno
other
fully.
economic activity somewhere.
magi cher ma ko no mer go chata fu
Basically, as we move to changing the mind, because mainly
ka wati wak me
your
chaka na ko
conversation,
witam
your talk is about
bien
mindset
look yo
change.
wen o jenge kum
We also got to look
You said
into
Mr.
these other factors.
I guess your submission is hard. Is going to respond to that.
o foyo but don't
We are left with one more.
ngara chel mo kene
Yeah, and the rest of you
won
write
mo ken
down.
do chogo choya pin
We're going to correct all those questions.
bi
that we
chogo
have.
la pin woni
There was a hand here. Please don't pass by him.
Thank you so much, sir. My question is,
la penya tiko man la dit
there have been a big difference from the local farmer down there
apaka bero ban tito twale kin lo fu mete tero
and the market at large, as you have been telling us,
ki
the
chu
market
ti
hub
rom
and
malo
everything.
kuja ki te wajo kere
How best can someone change that situation? As you've talked of the cultures and everything, how best can a local farmer from the village be of gain from the produce which he has made?
ni ta dong la fu mete terne twero nongo baga chit ni ning ikom fu ne ma ente ga fu ne bien rom me chere chuk ma male ne petie we endo nong baga chit ikom je mente fu ne twer ti meni ning
The connection from a pineapple farmer and the actual market outside there is not there.
dong kupu kin la fu mati fu na ki pin kan we go chere chuk ma malo pere kupe pere
There is a big difference from the farmer and the real knower of the market.
dong apara tie ikin la fu ki kum ngat mangeo kama chuk ti ie
How best can that local farmer from a humble background be helped to
dong
reach
la fu cha
where
mete
others
ter ma
have
awa
reached
ko
in the
raon ki
market,
twer
in the
ko ni
competitive
ning
market?
we eno o kuida
Thank you so much, sir.
foi de twala de
One last one here, please.
ya gere ke chat bol la cho in
The last one's here.
Thank you very much, everybody.
a foi de twala dano do you
Thank you very much, our elder brother, Honorable Odrek.
a wa foi de twala omega wa madit wandrik
I've got just one or two remarks
Atiki
and an appeal.
Chimario Kikan,
I'm a businessman
and Lati Biachara.
and a livestock farmer.
Dangan Maguago, Jemapira, Makwa.
Here we have a very big problem with lands office.
Kan Watiki Peroma did Kijomagila Locum Ngom, Upidigi.
Most of the people here in Acholi
Danama Puli,
have
actually.
huge chunks of land, but they don't have land titles.
Giti Kikare, mi berking om, Nominongom, Eto Nungokara, Taj Mingom, Minunongomidong Migi, Nungokata, Nung Tak.
Now, because they don't have land titles,
Piengi Kikar, Taj Mingom,
you want to do large-scale farming,
give me a give fu, Rom Mamalo.
you go to a commercial bank and try to access a loan.
Ichero Bodome Bang, Niwak Inegami Dentiene,
The banks will ask you for a land title,
Bang, Bupini Pikar Taj Mumi,
and they'll also go ahead and ask for cash flow.
Don't go Buchero Gemeta Nim, Mi Pini, Chene, Michakone.
My humble appeal, therefore, is
Don't Quatatico Man Bori,
kindly use your good office
Kaditiki Opijinima Beni,
to prevail over our lands office. You go there, you find so many files there.
Ichero Kuni no file Tima
They
Duong,
keep telling you, come back tomorrow, come
Kiwai
back next
Dukiri,
week.
Dukichabetanyan.
You can't access a land title
Ian
as quickly
Petwaro
as you
Nongo,
should.
Karataj Mingom, Mi Berkiloji Ie, the deep.
That's number one. Number two,
Mi Ario,
the commercial banks, if you could also find a way
Bang,
convincing them to reduce
Ma
the
give
loans
me
on
open,
agricultural loans.
Ma bene give me Chene, Ma Danane. Konu Kongi Twelve a well kilo fu.
So
Ping,
that our farmers here
Pin
can
the fool,
access
Makani,
those
na?
loans at reduced interest rates.
Gian Gitwaro Willow,
Finally,
me a giki.
our agricultural officers and veterinary officers should be encouraged to educate people on radios and other media on when to produce, what to grow,
Jomagila lokum fu, Ki Jomagila lokum le, O Mirkong Bukonwa, go what Kidano, go re Kidano. Kare mene, ma fu, O Mirangatomo fu, Keriki fu.
because we have them in offices, but they're basically doing nothing to help.
Gwatiki upitiki geriti, Erganageriti, on a penem, no pere.
Thank you very much, sir.
Avoid the toilet yet.
All right. Can we appreciate those who have contributed to make their questions? Now we'll
Call me Pastor David Opak Road. The first question is, can we set up a soft loan for people in Gulu who have suffered for more than 20 years in war, a hub, so that all the business people, especially the local farmer, can just link up to the hub and see the current price and get involved straight away, set up an hub. Then the next one is...
We are better okay on Yanke, me and Caragon. We know? Okay. And take a watch a command. Nimono, Kitweru Keto, Katano, Chenimo, Kidano, we are not going to architect there, Kuja, Ubim, Udem Chene, Konungini, Kafur, Pamana, Will Pama, TM, Manoki Kero, Pepper Kalaka, Will Soya.
Yes, the Indian society here in Gulu, they're not exploding, but they have soft loan. That's why they are excelling.
Luindu Magiti Kani, Gien, Gitiki Guargi, no Kamagrio, Gidan Yechene, Petian look at the John Lon, Ergio Gitargan Chenecamo, we are Kinero again for Gitiki Bakani.
During the President, His Excellency's speech, we have had industrial park in so many districts, but Gulu do not have industrial park. It's our prayer. Invite investors so that we can have industrial park. We have the best land, Lumi soil, they're here. Can we utilize it?
Well, we know in Lock Paladin level, Cowberka lock, Nika chat to chat, Omerki Kit to Berikin Pin, Madon, don. Edu look a Gurukan, Waka chat more, you come, you are more down, Bionatime chat, Pere, Kun Gurukan, you know what taking on, my bay, my mojatima bay, Chauchama bay, Pingo Jimene project team, but Wakan.
Finally,
I
request to have a meeting with you.
I saw that coming. Can we appreciate it? Over to Mr. Rao.
Thank you.
First of all, I wrote these books many years ago. You heard Pastor Dr. Batambuze say, has he written,
Apostle Dr. Batambuze waju?
In the last 4 years, I have not had time
Mwaka ngwen ang'ech pa bedo gi kare.
to put together my thoughts and teachings in one book.
Me chono tam mega ai buk achiel.
But I will, because there are now younger people recording these things.
Enda yada abikaro i buk kita down tika makoneni.
So 8 years ago, I picked my journal because I try and write every night in my journal.
Mwaka abora ng'ech acho i buk eneni pian diwo dicho na tika church.
And summarized my thoughts, articles, my family. So if you want to know more about me, this book is old, but it has some story. So I brought you some copies.
Tam mega ket ma ko kwere dok pa mega akere vuka en itwero no copy neka eneni.
Now, in this little book, please don't be scared of yellow
Book
color.
eneni paper pe color ne yellow.
Some 7 years ago, I was trying to map the districts of Uganda. Each district, what does it have?
Mwaka bera ng'ech atemo keto pin district achele chele Uganda tiki gena ngo.
And these districts have now changed. There are
The
many,
districts again can na wele meteo bena go lock bena.
but at least you see the numbers of schools then,
And the nano school mati ye.
how we were in 1962,
Keta na wati kwere piar bichel we ario.
86,
Piar bor we abichel.
2015,
Mwali bario kapar bich.
and I was projecting 2021.
Kino matika nena nyim mwali bario ki piario we achel.
Now, I was doing all these things to help leaders of NRM at
Germany
the time.
enati cho endu twale pino lutela me NRM.
Don't go empty-headed to
Niyo
meet
John in
people.
kala tela ba pe chet mano witi on no bet ki mo me bichate mo ne.
Leave them with some knowledge.
Ko iten dano ki mo.
Because they refuse to learn,
Pianin me kwero no ngech ba.
and you live on yesterday's things.
De ber ka ko ko no carro.
It's like going to a doctor who studied in 1920 treating problems of today.
Ber wachi doctor okwano ge mo ali ba chiel gi mi abgane piario. Enda tika changu tuo me mwaka ni eneni.
So doctors are only good to the extent that they study new
Doctor ki
diseases.
be ma look ngej ma megi ki ngoma ki keme kwere kare ne
And
cha.
leaders are doctors of society.
Lutela be ko ber doctor me ka ber magitelo.
Now then in 2015,
Mwale bario ka par bich.
I wanted to help NRM.
Na
So
mero konyo NRM
I
aye.
think these are admissions I need to make.
Eni jim ma mera wecho kamaling.
I thought that when you have a good tree,
Na tam ne ke tiki yat mabe.
like this shea tree,
Charu yat me chia.
you
Ya timakija.
it's called
Ya
yeah,
it's called ya.
the tree where we get shea butter.
Ya ka ya ma wano ye
I
ni ya
am-
ki mo
I
ne.
am 100% in agreement with you. Nobody should cut those trees.
Ana mo kamaling kwini ujana potong yat ya. Utiako ya pingo.
It doesn't matter how hungry or how poor I am.
Pe par kono ke june ga rome nyo
But
ala
if-
chan rome na.
If I cut something that will give me medicine tomorrow, I have
Ento
really
ka to
caused
ge mo
trouble.
awa ko ma kon diga mo ya yat.
So I thought,
Atamu ni
why are people cutting down this tree?
pingo
called
daji tongo
NRM?
ya ko ki tiako pingo.
Utterly confused.
Eno nyana wiaba.
They don't make sense to me when they speak.
Ada panyang ka gen gulo.
They don't model the right behavior when they lead.
Pegitika mi la bol mabe ka gutelo tela.
And then in private, they say things that shock you.
Chipi ki ken ki loko luko I lok ma de dai ber ki wutu ali ye.
So I said, what has become of us?
Cha para bo jona ngoma do por ko mwani eni.
So I called many friends of mine. I said, what do we do? I like this tree and I want to protect it.
Cha duo alu rema ma duo bo jona gena ngoma on timi ko yate na maru yate ni.
Many of them refused. They
Jo
said,
ma
"Oh,
duong go lingo ko
that's
kwera ko.
Roderick and his politics."
Wacha ma drek do ko cha
So
ki
I
chu
was
wi bi
left
eni.
alone.
Chiki weka kena.
And the midnight hour, remember Silas and Paul?
We po ni chun duo silo ki Paulo.
I said, Lord, if you want me to serve you,
Wachi ruot ke meta ti bori.
my people and my community and my country in the political arena,
Bot jona ki jo matelo gi dok ba chu wi
I
bi.
must have ideas for the
Mera bet
party.
ki tam ma tuar nya kwet gi.
So I don't do things unless I've researched and thought through them.
Ya da an pati mu jem ni kwanye kaka akwere ko akwana maturi ye.
In this little pamphlet,
I vukan matiri ni.
if you're interested in the story from 1960 of NRM,
Ke mero niang ni ya ki ma piar biche nono kon NRM
It's
na wani
here.
na matin tiye.
and if you want to know what the future should look like,
Ke
for
mero
that,
niang anyimu beti ning bana
there are 3 lessons here.
ki jema dek.
So I want to give you these books.
Amira mi book egini.
Don't worry, reading does not hurt.
Pepa kai kwana ba pepe wan kamo.
I told you about Rudyard Kipling.
Awachi lokom Rudyard Kipling.
He was a writer for the British Empire.
Oberla church pi dul pa gang British kuja.
But I quoted him. You can use the enemy to quote something to help you.
Itwero tiki lok pa la merok me konyi.
So, I am not giving you these books to become of another party. I'm
Book
giving you
any
to get
party
knowledge.
can me bit ingiri me yueki party ni amere kwane beti ngeja ye.
This lecture which I did,
Fonyen ma fonyo kumbeti.
that would have been on the one of our brothers said you should have had a projector.
Kana wa yar mali projector ka nini.
I will send it on email or print copies.
Habitually email nyo aberu copy beru tiema duong.
You just need to list the names we said. We will send this copy to you.
Mero cho pin ka ma mero cho e jemi gini.
You can read it on your own.
We kwan piri ken cha ni giri.
So Olinga Patrick, mind and faith.
Oria Patrick mind tam kini ye.
Very good question.
Ai panya bela kwat.
It's actually a good way to think.
Oberu yo mabe kita mere tam kwera ye.
Because the mind alone,
Pien tam ken.
or let me say the material world,
Mera wachi gen mawaro neno eni kung jemi gini.
is only 30% of the real world. that
Piara
you know.
dek we mia e kom ngo matie kome ke kome.
The real world is not known to you.
Kom gen mawaro ke me kwere upawa nge ya da.
If you want to lead,
Kai mero tela.
you need to study the material world
Meri kwan gen mawaro neno eni.
and
Lobo eni.
invest in the spirit world.
Chi I ker don matut I kwa me chwin lobo me chwin.
What's the spirit world?
Lobo me chwin bere gina ngo.
It is knowing that you have 100 years to live. if
Ene
you are
me
lucky.
nge ni tiki mwa mia me mere kwa.
What is 100 years in the scheme of things?
Ento maluka ke jema mere nong ubere gina ngo mwa mia chele ni.
NRM came here
Ene mo bino kai.
1986.
I piar boru ya bichel.
They are almost making 40 years.
Chok mwa piar ngwen nongen.
Do you understand me?
In yang.
So when I tell our people, I say, look,
Ka wa yikidan wa jano neno ba.
I'm aiming at $6 billion in our exports by 2028.
Anati nene mero no billion abichel me dollar.
But
Mwa man chok anyim.
My real target is 100 billion by 2062.
And American mwa alibario ke piara bichel. Wa
$100
dong
billion.
dollar mia makaro.
I give them 2062 and they say,
Amini mwa alibario ke piara bichel
will I
biario.
still be an MP?
Jo wa jana no fura kwa no
Will
fura
I still be
TMP.
a pastor?
No fura bela kware.
I'm not interested.
Pa mar en anti nen na nyima ye.
So I say, it's
Cha
okay.
wachi.
You can die in between,
Ni tuero to ai kena
but
kenyu.
Uganda will be here.
Uganda furu budong.
Don't stand in the way of a good idea.
Pe chunge yo. Pe itam mabe.
Sometimes we start things and other people finish
Chamo kana
them.
wa chako jim eno jo kana bi mete kwere ye.
But it's good to start.
Endo be ke chako.
So 2062, you don't know how our
Wa
country
alibario
will
piara
be,
bichel biario penge kere lo bo ber kwere.
but me, I have that projection.
Endo anen na ti yonko no.
That's why I want to come second time for this teaching.
En kino amena duk chen wa nyak ma poli fonye ni.
So the material world is small.
Lobo mai na na ni tiria.
The spiritual world humbles you.
Endo kwa me chwin dit endo mi be
You will
modo.
recognize that if you are not here by 2062,
Dok be ken nyange mo alibario ke piara bichel biario na apka peke.
you don't control the wind.
Yin pe dor kira yamo
You
kore
don't
kwere.
control the sun.
Pe dor kira cheng war
You
kwere
are
ya.
not the center of the universe.
Ina ye pe dor jemi wen wi
They
lobani.
don't call you honorable or excellency. Don't worry.
Ka pe gilweni honorable.
We
Your
have
excellency.
the-
Pe pa
The Romans used to walk in the streets carried by people.
jo Roma no ge war guri dana no tinyo gi.
Nobody knows where the Romans are today.
Ngata ngi kom gere go be dong
So
paka.
do what you have to do in the now.
Tem gene twa tem ne kom
But
bedi.
invest in faith.
Awe kere ni ye.
Because when everything shakes,
Pian ka jemi wen yenge.
your faith should
Ni ye
be
ni
firm.
Kristo no chung liret.
That's why the faith teaching,
En gene wa fon me ni ye.
knowing what you believe,
Nge ngome ni ye.
is often more important than what you have in your
Piere
hands.
tek loyo ngome ti kwere chin kong kong.
Actually, not often. It is always more important
Ya dane piere tek loyo.
because wealth can go,
Pien na lonyo chero.
children can
Do tieno
go,
betwero ago.
a wife can leave.
Meno de twero weki.
But if you are strong in the faith
En
and
kay
spirit,
chui ni ye ni
you
Kristo.
will be there tomorrow.
Ien digno furit ye.
Therefore,
Pimeno.
the policy on determining the price and an enabling environment, I agree.
Chek makeme ke wel jemi ma mekwa.
Please let me answer that question. If I have answered Patrick, By this explanation, you know that if I skip your question, it is not deliberate, but I have answered it in a way. So the journey from the farmer to the consumer. So you are not in the business of farming. You are not in the business of owning land. Please know that. You are in the business of satisfying a customer's need. Thinking can change the way we see the world. You are not in the business of growing cassava. You are in the business of ensuring that the people of Serbia have starch better than the one from Panama. And you get a better price. So, if you grow something, always think who will consume it. Would I consume it and I love it myself? If it were not my food, would I eat it? There are 8 steps between a farmer and a customer. So, first of all, at a farmer level, you have inputs and machinery. This is what I had someone mention. Very expensive. The second level, you have someone called an aggregator. If you are in the business of flowers and fruits and vegetables, there is something called a pack house, where you pack your fruits and vegetables. That place should be inspected by someone to know that this is the right standard. If you are aggregating milk, the Diet Development Authority should come and see what you're doing. This is the second level. After aggregator, there is a transporter. Now, a transport truck has to be licensed. You cannot give me sim carried on a truck where yesterday you carried chickens. If you do that and they pick it in their screens, they put a ban on that farm never to bring it. That's the education that you had someone, I think it must have been a brother called, Oyet, who said they are not teaching people. So transportation is a component of how you get where? To the final consumer. So if we are leaders, and we don't map this process very well for our followers, we raise expectations and then we step off and people fall. That's why for me the session 1 was to change the thinking. Then you walk into the practice. After the transporter, there is a shipper. Someone who has to ship what you have grown. He has to get what they call a bill of lading. Now, you see how language has begun to change? Because the farmer, let's say from Kitgum, in the sub-count of Angangura, has had his simsim, but he doesn't know where the farm, what is a bill of lading. The sheep needs a warehouse. URA has to come and check the warehouse. Institutions of government have to act together to make sure that at that level a customer's product, a farmer's product, does not fail.
Pero pala fu ki keme kwere dok bene peke balo jemi ne.
I'm sorry I'm taking a long time.
Uti
but
maki jati tiaro kara
if
mabo.
I can use that explanation to show you,
Kana toti ki la bol ene menyuti.
in Buganda they say gachali mabaga.
Buganda gwe ne fuda chaka.
It is the start of
Fuda
things.
chaka.
We have to work together
Miarwa word ka
to
chel.
get there.
Wa o kuno.
So after a shipper,
Ka dong
there is a distributor.
Tingato nge oi romo ngata dong poko matitiano.
Someone must be distributing this water.
Ngata
in
mo ne
Gulu.
mero poko wa pini enini. O ai kwena o kanyi ning.
He must have a warehouse
Mero bed ki sto ne bena madit.
at the right temperature.
No liaro ne kingi ne beno pore.
The warehouse should be available 24/7 because there are many activities.
Warehouse eno ne nyo sto madit ene mero bed matio cha weng di wogi di cheng.
Whenever customers want water,
Ka customer mero pi
it should be there.
no mero betie.
After a distributor, there is a salesman
Distributor nyo nge eno ni ngata poko ni. La chate mero betie.
or a saleswoman.
Nyo ngat machar ni me bela cho nyo dao.
Their work is to communicate and do advertising.
Tich gitie me chato will.
Ugandan Sim is here.
No John nyimpa Uganda
It
en.
is better than the one of
Be
Colombia.
loyo meka Colombia ni ya.
Ugandan coffee can do
Oh, coffee market Uganda we.
this. We don't have people who do that in our
Wa
markets.
peki jo madongi charo charo.
That's why I said I want to come back and
Gine
tell you
wa
what
wacha
we are
mera
doing
duk chen wa
on
nywak
each
maduong
of those
makaro.
markets. After a salesman,
Kadong la chat do
there is a
mogala.
retailer.
Tinga to man madong wire matitiano. Kiosk cha.
What step is that now since I
Eh
left
no
the
step
farm?
ma di dong.
Step number 7 since I left Angangura.
Ma bier dong step ma bier wa kenga nga go archa.
Uh-huh. A retailer
Ngat madong charo matitiano bot
gives you
customer.
some shelf space.
Mi ka charo ne ka mo matidi.
Those madaras in the shop.
En madar mo mano gor dukan ni.
In developed countries where we sell our food,
Ilo mo do makaro wa ka machari cham mo.
every shelf space is a profit center.
Which ni me ka chat mo matitiano ni wen ka no magoba.
If you bring Angangura Sim,
Ke ke nyimo ke nga gora.
however way it has been sold,
Kira ke charome,
packed,
kira ke pack ngwere,
transported,
ke waro kwere,
warehoused,
ke carry store.
and put it there,
Chi kar kwere kenyu.
you pay money to be there.
Ini chulu chene ba ko kenyu.
If in 1 month the Angangura Sim is not sold,
Kai dwe chen nyimo aka nga gora pe ke cha pe ke wido.
you pay the supermarket
E chulu supermarket
a
aka
fine
fine.
for not getting customers.
Piene meno customer bo pe ke supermarket.
You remove it,
E chulu fine chi kwanyu nyimio.
and the Sim from Ghana comes
Chi
there.
dok sim nyo nyimo ke Ghana donyo kenyu.
Uh-huh. After a retailer,
Ka dong la chat ma gikin.
there is the end customer.
Tie dong la will cha.
He is the one who pays the price of every of those people I
And dong
mentioned.
chulu well in your wang, you in your wang, dong o ke carry well ma giki ma dong customer ma giki la will dong will.
When you ask me about the small farmer and how will he, please know that is the journey.
Kai penyo lokom la fu mati we char cha kita bu dong kwere ngeno beru what.
Each of those journeys,
Johnny in your wang kit what in your wang.
there is an enemy hiding with an AK-47 to stop
Ngeni
you.
no la merok tio kane o kimudugone.
That's how it is.
Ena kita jemi tu kwere.
Don't get here
Peo
because
kan.
I'm already here.
Peo kan piana anda tikan. Aria tie.
You should go back and keep selling me from there.
Dok chen chi chat
This
wa
is
kia nga
not
gor
your
kuno.
area.
Ene pe area ni.
So some of us
Chi wan jo
who
kane.
have studied and understood our country,
Ma wa kwano dok wan yang ngoma lob ti me lob wa.
oh, there is an enemy lying in
La me
ambush.
rokarti yo in your well kane loom.
I will do guerrilla tactic.
An abi wet choko chalo la luenya
You
libu.
will find me there under your name.
Obu no akenyi ite vuom ngato mo.
But behind your name,
Ende ite vuom ngato mo.
there is Uganda.
Ti Uganda.
By the time you know, I am seated there.
Kenen yang na bero do arwa luera.
This is what I will share with you. when
Ene
I
gina
come.
be nyawo kwidi ka dugu chen.
Just as there is a spiritual war,
Kit ma luen me chwentie ni.
there is a trade war,
Ngene be luen me chat tie.
financial war.
Luen me lim
There
tie.
is war to keep markets
Luen me
closed
gwa
to
kuchuk
us.
be beru tie.
They see us
Gine wa
as disorganized people
chalo jo mo nywene.
who come for seminars
Magi bieni seminar
and
fonye ko man.
allowances
Chi you know
and
the tang dud.
shopping.
Chi ki wa chi no chana me
They
will.
give us small ground nut for
Gini wa
shopping.
full mano knock.
They say that Ruabogo is speaking.
Gwa
very
ro abogo
well.
tika lok kwija we.
Then Ruabogo also puts on a tie and becomes a big
Where Rabogo Betino dog got a
But
deer.
they are not telling you where the gold is hidden.
And Petty, which you come a jabu
You
reality.
need the wisdom of the ages
A mirror Riagomekaren.
that comes from knowing the material and the spiritual world.
Kono keme menge ngomatime
To
chwin.
remain focused.
Bet make him.
So when they say Rwabogo is good,
Wakawe Rabogo be.
you hear it here.
Inge kitam
Let
kilok
it
man
pass
waju.
here.
Mukarkan.
Keep walking to the objective.
Meteki war mechara nyim ngometi keme kwerini.
Because people have been killed
Pian dano kineo ba.
by knowing what is right.
Pian go ngeo ngometi ati.
A brother speaks to you
Omego logo kwidi.
like someone who hates you. But you need
Chalongata
to know.
chalongata digi amiringi ada.
So when I hear those who say Rwabogo, it's a must. Rwabogo can lead.
Kewe Rabogo twatela
You
twatela.
did not know him yesterday.
Yin penge an la wo.
But he was here in 1992. Did
Ene
you
piar
know him?
bungan we ari ober kanyenge.
Did he come jumping out of
Obieno
cars?
obieno ki pie kamalenga menene.
Rwabogo has a hand on almost each of those leaders. He started the youth councils. He has trained all his life.
Rabogo ber ka fonyo tela kanye kuja chakwane olong.
But he has a burden.
Eno tikitea ye.
And he wants to fulfill and unburden
Dok
himself.
meti teni eno katika maleng ting teni chiping.
See him for who he is.
Ini nene pe anga
And
me
what
eno
God
beri.
has put on
Kingo
his
mana
heart.
ba kere kuone.
Don't dress him
A peru ke
the
ba.
way you would want.
Keru agena pat. Kina yini miero.
Don't deny him that leadership whenever, if God allows,
Kalu bao
just
ye,
because of
dire maga.
where he comes from or
Kau
what he does.
ye. Kalu bao ye.
But see him for the value he
Ini nene
adds.
ngo mana ba chibi kumkuone ye.
If there is no value add,
Kapeti kon mama be
just
kumkuone.
let Rwabogo be like other
Wek
people.
Rabogo becha jokane.
So let's not confuse. I'm using Rwabogo as an example. But
Ati mi Rabogo chala boli anya.
let's find leaders with causes and hold on to them.
Wanong lutela matiki neno chuwa
And
moga
not
komgi.
rush them
Pe warugi.
because there seems to be like a demand.
Pian nan chalo miramani tie.
Were you here in 1959?
Ine tikanye mwa piar
Did
beach.
you participate
Piar beach
in
we
the
abong wane
formation?
tikany. Ne tikany.
Did you participate in the formation of Uganda People's Union of William Rwetseba and UPC of Obote?
Ine tikany karma UPC gi kya nga kudul patama beru tie ne
Were you
tie.
here when Lugard signed off?
Karma luga dus okaruchie.
Will you be here in 2070? Do you know what will be
Mwa
here?
ali bari ke piar beru beru furkany.
Why don't you fix what is an issue?
Pingo pe kembe kingo matika tieni. Ki lueny meti lueny keme kwerero ni.
Do the natural
Gimat nen.
and let God add the super.
Wek lu bauti makar
And you
kenyo.
become supernatural.
Chide beru ngar
That's
madit
what I
machwin.
ask you.
Ene gina legi pere.
Okay?
Amen.
So, have we understood the process of how
Wan
we...
yang kira jeme agwa ke bodo fu woro kwere kira don kwere.
If you want an enabling environment,
Kawa mero ate karben mamonya mopore.
start with the understanding of where the enemy points are and what you need to change.
Chak niang kama lwenti yenge ngo mere lage.
And which leaders you should stick with.
Kila tela mema mere mok kome.
And then that environment will be forced on the country and its leaders because you are organized to demand it.
Kidong te kar ene o e bieno poro le fuki kom lutela. Chi gen ko bena la la berje.
Am I understood?
Wan yang
Nobody will fix the price for you.
ngara mo pa kar wel pe jemi ni ba.
There is a theory I have about how you take roasted coffee into those markets. I will share with you next teaching.
Makeme ki coffee madon ki bulo go
I have
nyoki
studied
tala
it.
go ana bi duguchen
I
abi nyama
have
matut.
seen it.
Aneno
I have seen people pretending.
aneno jo make poro
I have
de.
seen people make huge promises.
Aneno jo make cheka
I
madon.
have gone and did the math. I said, you know what?
Acha timu chuor na aneno wa
The
jane.
whole of Uganda in the last 62 years,
Uganda weng ma pe chele wiario.
we stagnated at 3 million bags for 45 years.
Wa mogo e gutia million dek.
Now we are 8.8 million bags.
Kumbe de wati million aboro gumegicha.
We are the
coffee.
the largest in Africa.
Wana dong maduong wakele coffee maduong ya Africa.
But the coffee we drink, we
And
put
coffee-
99%.
Coffee mawano maro piar bungan we abungwen we
The
mia.
one you sell, you are big.
E
The
charo
one you
maduong
bring,
eno me maro timatiri.
99%.
99%.
Why?
Pingo.
How can you not drink the asset that you sell to the world?
Adada gena initi fu.
Why did I walk
Pingo
in
pe
with that
maro.
cup?
Kono ti chatne.
How can I talk about what I don't use?
Acha tichikum. Acha logom gena pati kwenini.
So you drink Nescafe,
Ini maro Nescafe.
imported from Switzerland,
Kone wili ki Switzerland.
but you sell the best coffee in the world from
Ento coffee
Bugisu.
mabe we lo we wenti charna
There's a
charapem.
sub-counter in Sironko called Busedan.
Tika mo sironga luone
It
buseda.
has the best coffee in the world.
Tiki coffee mabe le we lo
It's
long.
called Bugisu Arabica double
Luone
A.
Bugisu Arabic coffee.
Do you know it? Have you ever had it?
Ingeyo ane iwinyu.
You don't.
Pengeyo. Ibi winyu pe coffee ane. Ti Bugisu kan.
Leadership is about also learning.
Tela
What
tie
is-
kom kwan mere kwan niang.
who am I? What do I have?
Ana nga tiki gena ngo.
So I have mapped that process. I will share with you.
Abi
when
dugu
I
chen
come.
wa binyu maduong makaro Kenya.
Rogers Kalenzi.
Rogers
Did
Kalenzi.
I get your name well? Kalenzi or Kalanzi? Kalenzi.
Kalenzi Rogers.
Mindset change, the cost of doing things, tax reductions,
Lakota mucho
cost
jana.
of implements like tractors.
Tractor ki wel ki tek.
So my young brother, I agree with you.
Omera amo ka chel kwiri.
Uganda has 6.9 million acres.
Uganda tiki eka abichiel tona
I think
bungwen.
it's 6.9 million acres of arable land.
Ngoma fure. Eribo? Okay. Six.
Land which can produce.
Yes, ngoma fure. Eka abichiel tona bungwen.
Of that,
Million abichiel tona bungwen. Mafure.
so of the 6.9,
Eka
we are
abichiel
using
tona
only
bungwen million.
30%.
Watiki percent apar dek kan moti kwere.
70% is idle.
Seven per biro.
It is all over Gulu, it is all over
Tigulu,
Buganda, it is all
Buganda,
over
po wateka
Bolivara.
fur ne.
Sometimes we're even killing each other over it, but it is
Chamu kan
there,
wati
we are
naka
not
bana
using
pir en wo
it.
poeka tich kwere be.
Now, the total number of tractors you have in the country is less than 4,000.
Tractor wele wenge kwana Uganda. Pedi romo ali bangwen.
For a country of
Pilobo.
6.9 million acres,
Akon eka ti abichiel
tractors
tona
are how
bungwen.
many?
Tractor tie. Endo peroma ali bangwen.
You go and count the total number of those vehicles you have in Uganda.
Chi kwandong wel mutaka matika mol ka en jiwo ki di chengeni we.
They are in millions.
Kiti million.
So, are you in agriculture or you are in the car driving?
Iti fu ke iti mutaka.
So we need to think differently.
Chimir watam matut.
So that my brother Kalenzi
Omer Kalenzi.
is saying maybe
Ti wachi gwa kunyo.
remove taxes on those things
Wakwany muchoro ko
and
kom
put
jeme
taxes
fu.
on vehicles.
Waket muchoro kom mutaka ke ma woro kwet gini.
Yes, there are actually no taxes on tractors.
Ya daba muchoro pe kom tractor.
But few of us are training our children to drive tractors.
Ento dana di matika fonyo tiyan
We,
ngeme do
we
tractor.
want them to be philosophers
Wa
and
mere gen go
members
bet lo
of parliament.
kwan vuk matura ye wa mere go
We
beri.
don't think colleges, agricultural colleges are a big deal.
Ento pa watamu ne mero gang ifonye me fu
So
pekitego.
beyond removing tax,
Kawa kwany muchoro.
there should be a core mass of knowledge
Tie ka mo mangej maduong mero
in
chari ye.
each society
I ka mo ken mo beri
that
ye.
what we need here are tractors. Don't bring us freebies.
Neo John ne wa
And
me
we-
tractor ye po kelwa jimu mo
We
cha.
have repairers of tractors.
Kon watigi lo yub tractor.
We have drivers of tractors.
Watigi jo adwe tractor.
We have an ecosystem of
Watie ki
tractors.
ka kit ma tractor woro
And
kwede o bale
we'll-
kanje yobo kwere.
We will not give you a machine.
Po wa mi machine mo.
We will give you a system to grow agriculture.
Wa mi ket yo me fu ye.
It's thinking differently.
Wa kwa chak tam yo mapapat.
Of course, there are some taxes that I think we will have to deal with.
Timu chore ya damo kana mira wakeme kwedgi.
I don't think you can sell coffee in good packaging
Pange ke twero charo coffee mane packing mabe.
and compete with the Brazilians
Chi IPM ki jo ma ki Brazil.
who have achieved scale on roasted coffee
Ma ki ti coffee mano
without you encouraging local drinking of coffee and
La
packaging.
bon inane meno coffee ma wano for ne wan wa maro bene.
But let's talk about those when we have time.
Eno jimene wabi lokala chen ka wadugu.
So it's not like I don't have ideas on what to do on those things.
Peni mena pegi tam mo mabe kom jimi gini.
But if someone gives you lunch, breakfast, dinner in one meal, you will bust.
Eno ka ngaro mo minu chamo diko di chengo tiano ni cham ki chen.
Let's take some breakfast. We'll come back for lunch. Okay?
Eh, ibi mocho chot ke ni chamo na chen. Komo nong breakfast ene ni.
This
Ponye
issue
ni.
of betting and drugs,
Lokom betting ki yeri magiti yu kwede.
really it is leadership,
Eno ya tela.
enforcement
Tela ki jo amiro ke
at
cheke
our
tich.
local community level.
e kama wano beri ye
Who are the children taking drugs?
lutiana matika mato jai ni nga
Which
gi
homes do they come from?
gai me magi ake ye
Who are the parents?
lunyor ga nga
What is the community saying
o
about it?
lutela nyoki community waje ni ngoy kom gi
In 1976,
piar beru ya bichel
my father and his friends
wora ki lureme
would gather every Tuesday
no ke gor chario
at
ki
the
gor
parish headquarters.
headquarter me parish
And they call the father
chiki luo no wego
of a boy who steals chickens in the
gi
village.
luo no won la ten mo kwalo gweno
And they
chara
say, your son is a thief.
gi wach in wori la kuo
He stole his goat.
o kwalo diele
He
ni
stole his chicken.
o kwalo gweno pangade cha
Either you take responsibility or
koni keme kwere
we will do it ourselves.
onyo wani komo we keme kwere
The father says, I am sorry the boy has grown his
wego no
above
kwai
me.
ki John ne la teno bala da
They send police.
gi chwalo police
They bring the boy.
ke kelo awobi ni
Say 12 lashes
wachi jwar do apario
and proper repentance. You'll never
dok
steal
bene
again.
ngutogo atini pe binoy
Or
balman
that is the prison.
onyo vuticha kugori
And that helped keep the community
eno
together.
ni ogwako wan me ber mabe ki gang me
Now,
ber mabe
if you touch a child
kom
of
bet ke
someone,
gwak la tin ngatu mo
they will not vote you tomorrow.
el diwo ruone peke bi boli kui in la tela good mere ngala tin ngatu
What
mo
are we building?
ngoma waundi gedo ne John
A community of voters
wati gedo lo bol kui ye
or a community that wants to pass on some good genes to the
keje
next generation?
yalwak mamero miyo ket mabe ki bot yalwak ko kana
Enforcement is not police, it is us.
au ketu jemi
Who
teach
say
ketu
we
cheke
don't
teach
like
po ber
this?
police
And you don't take action.
watch one po
police.
mar man police kopo timo man
You DPC who is promoting it,
DPC unity
you are out of here. It is
ngene
our-
neno kana
it
teach
is
dong
our
pe
voice as a community.
eno ber dwan mamwa chalo wan joma kitelo gi
So Beinomujshai Kaganda, I think I answered your question.
Beinom
From
Gisha,
the
Nanchala
farm
Gamo.
to the consumer. I don't want to repeat it.
agamo ona chalo me aki bot la fu na
What you are asking is, what is the bridge
geneti penyene meno pem long ti kwana
between a small farmer and a
iken la fu
good price?
matiri ki meno ki wel mabe da
There
agamo
are 8 bridges, not one.
awachi tie pema bor
You must
kachel
cross them strategically
ma
and
miere ngol gyo
methodically.
kachel mabe
Let's discuss it when I come next
ene
time.
wanyak maduong ka bidu chan
Oyet Andrew Christopher,
oyet Andrew Christopher
no titles.
ne title pe
They demand cash flow
John
projections.
agi penyo
Commercial banks are tough.
bank statement kwere
So we don't have investment banks.
po wapeki bank makonyo
We don't have agricultural banks.
wapeki bank polufu
We don't have trade banks.
wapeki bank polutumbia chara madon
Countries have those banks.
lobo mukana kitiki jemeni
We have high street commercial banks that charge an interest rate that is high.
watie ki bank mukana ma interest kitila
So
mali
you want to invest in agriculture, but you should be going to an agricultural bank
kaone mer fur madit ichero bodno bank mer time
or an
ki
investment bank.
unyo investment bank makonyo
But you go to commercial
nyalonyo.
bank?
Ka cher commercial bank
That's why they look in your mouth.
ginwa kini dogi
In my language, we have this thing which is below that, above the tongue.
dog
I don't know how you call it.
lebo ki jotiki dani
We
ai
call
ngam
it
dogi ai ngam dogi kang ne dani kang
The thing that eats millet, akashondaburo.
wa jemi machamo kal
The bank say, open your mouth.
bang we yab dogi
Where's your marriage certificate?
in
your land title?
certificate men yomiti
Who's
kwene
your
land
brother?
title ti kwene
Then you say, but did I come here for
chwa
marriage
John
certificate?
ana bieno pi marriage certificate men yom pinge pa jemi enoni
So let me tell you what we are trying to do.
gena wote temo temo ne enan
We think that if you are in the export business,
watamne ke chi chwalo jemi waho
we could create a fund
no watwer yupo ka no
for
chene mo
exporting businesses
pi joma di chwalo jemi ge waho
where you bring your order
ma in kelo ngoma mete
of eggs to Congo,
gwa kelo tongwen me chwalo
of
Congo
posho to South
nyo
Sudan,
gwa mo ko ne chwalo South Sudan
and you prove that this order will be paid in 120
chi
days.
mo ni John Sudan penyo wel mo ko man
So we
chi
give,
nyotiwa
we give you the money,
chi wanu mi chene
you sell.
icharo
Every time you sell, you return it.
kade dugu ke char de dugu
And
dwa
we
chene
charge like 1%
chi wan
interest
wangore
rate.
interest mo ko karo manok
But
pasana
it
chi
rotates.
ma meta
What I said requires discipline,
ginene miero
Source
kip
of
mati
money.
eh
source of money,
kame no chene ye
orderliness,
kitiem je kware
wisdom,
riego
commitment.
ki mine ni
Not everybody rushing say, I'm also now selling.
pe dano ma bino an batiga cha
They give it to you, you go and marry the
kimi
second wife.
ichero da nyom da mo kana
We
ye
will not let those things happen to
eno
this
ni
trade
pe
fund.
bo konyo wa
So why I'm going out of the country
gino ma tia
tonight,
chera lo ma wa kombeti
we are trying to get some African friends
wo mero nong lu remo ki Africa
who
kan
have seen this vision
mago neno ni yeni
some of them are like you. When I speak, they say, "But what are you doing? Why aren't you leading?" I say, "Okay, I'm also leading now where I am."
Mokane pingo in peti ka tele lobuni. Awa John anba.
They are trying
Anba
to,
ti tele. Gimero chora kama anpa mero chere furia.
they are trying to pump me to say,
Gimero meta wachi.
there is food in my hands, but first get also what is
Ni
here.
cham ti che eno ke nong ben yen.
This Makatara is not yet finished.
Katara in foot pia ti ko John.
This job has to be done by someone.
Tichi en ngarmo mero ko te mati
Because
te
some
maneni.
of our institutions have gone in cerebral sleep.
Pien du look en mero ko tim dok tichi en ni gunni en ko ya.
I know them.
Angeyogi.
All they do is to fight what is good
Gien na kitima en melu en ko
and
gem ba
keep
mati ka
what is
piano.
bad. Eh?
Why anda right.
They are like a snake that has stayed in one place for a long time.
Very why ne matul momo ber ka ber chel pikar malach.
So why I'm going there is to find friends who we can work with
Genu wa tika cher wa nong lu remote to tich kwetgi.
and work with the president of Uganda.
Dok wa tika cheli president me
He
Uganda.
has understood this vision more than
Ero
anyone
ni ang
else.
nero ni en mati lo yen maber da.
He says, coffee, whatever, you tell me what you want.
Why coffee wacha ngoma wo
Because
mero.
you are on the market.
Pien unti chuk ya.
And so we want to create a coalition and create the fund.
Chi wa meti wa chunka chiel wa
My
nong chena
prayer
mo beru tie. Legana
is that when I return,
ni ka dugu.
I should announce that is the fund manager.
Abi wachi enye manager malo chena ni ano ni.
These are the rules of
Chena
getting
don no
the
ngeo
fund.
kay mero no chena ben mero tim kina ko mano man kore
I
kore.
will say, praise the Lord.
Chi awa
I have
deyo
done
dog bad lo
I
ba.
have
Pien
done
do dong wa
something
no
for my
chena ano
country
ni.
and it is working.
Pien na temo ke mo pilo na dog betika tich.
Okay? Now, so commercial banks, so you should do cash flow projection, my brother Andrew.
Andrew chena ni mero
Then
wat ki bank
you
ba.
will not do any business in the world if you don't have books of accounts.
Baby timu biya char kama wi logo
We
ka
cannot
vuk magwa
trade like
manyuru chena kina war kwere peke.
You can't trade like your grandparents.
Pay tuaru timu chatu chatu
You must
kwaru.
have audited books of accounts.
Vuk mer ki ngi tere odito betie.
If you want your son or daughter to work in your business, they must be interviewed and hired.
Kaya mero wuri nyo watemo ti biya company ni mer ki ukar interview.
So again, it's not good to give yourself as an example. So I have teenagers who are going to university.
Article ti madong ti university.
When a boy is 19, 20, a girl is 18, they are very busy.
Ma par bongwen ki
You
kenyo.
shouldn't keep them home.
Kaya mer gwa ke gang ka bera.
But also if you take them to the farm,
Eno kaya chwala ki famba.
sometimes they have no way to communicate with their schools. So they go to the farm, but I bring them back to the city.
Cham kana chwala ki famba dugi aduagi city. Chwala ki famba duagi city.
Daddy, you want to come and work in your office?
Yo ai daddy wa mero bino tije office.
You want to work in my office?
Meti je office
In my private business.
e
Okay.
office busy biya charna.
So they thought it's walking in because this is our father.
Gitamani ya e war bera pian man won wa.
I called the managing director,
Aluo managing director.
the head of accounts,
Angan maloyo
the
accounts.
head of personnel.
Angan maloyo lutich.
Said, come, they didn't know. So I
Napagi nga
said,
wa bino.
you are going to apply for a job
Wa
from
ibi
those
choy
people, not
bitich
me.
bot Johnny. Eno pi bora.
And indeed, they applied.
Ya da gu choy gu penyo
It's a
tich.
short holiday.
Yue ma check.
They wrote a contract and terms of reference for what
Go
each
neno
one will do.
contract ngoma mer gu timi dok tich.
When they leave end of September, they'll be reporting their file on how they perform.
Kago ya gike duwe ma bongwen mer file gu
So you
betie
think
ki
I-
chopping ngogo bela
You
timene.
think I can't say, my son, come and work here?
Itamane patwe wa wore biti kan.
I will cause him problems. Eh?
Abi kele pero no
He
no.
will needs to know that there is no free lunch in the
Mero
world.
ngeni mero jemi ki tia pe ki no mo leme.
I am your biological
An
father,
wuro mu nywele da.
but the business
Eno biya chara.
is independent of your biological
Biya
father.
chara da pe jenge kum wuro mu ni eno nywele ni.
My brother Andrew, don't
Man,
worry when
Andrew.
banks ask you for cash flow
Pe pe ki
projections.
luoro ka
It's
bang wa ke
important.
nyot kong statement ni kong.
How will you sign an agreement with an international company
Ibi
when you
kero
don't have
chi
books?
kono kube ki company ma wilo ma wa ni ninka jema chalo kumeno
I
pe.
agree with you. Education on radios is not being done.
Ya da fonye radio
Why are
pe
you
tika
waiting
time.
for other people to do it?
Pinga kitika kuoro jo kana kutim.
Who will do it?
Anga abu fonyo dano.
So I told you in 2015 I needed to help the organization called NRM.
Mwali wari ka para bicha wechi ni na mero konyo NRM.
What am I doing today?
Kombera ti temo ngo.
Because I kept teaching.
Pia na mede ki fony.
I kept working on the things
I
that
met-
matter for the country.
A mede ki tichi kom ngoma pia tak bi
The
lo man.
president said, can you help me now do this?
President wa itwero konye timo
I
man.
did not say, give me a job.
Ana pa wa ni mi teach.
No, so this one has not worked, but it does not take away who I am.
Eni puti enda po kwa ngoma abero.
Keep working until someone notices.
A
Why
mede
am
ki tichi
I,
wa ngangara mo foyo.
why why am I killing a talent here?
Pinga tin ne ko mot ma me ka
But
kan.
let's assume he did not recognize that.
Ko no gwa nyo no en polu wa do
Would it
kicheni.
stop me from being who I am as
No pe
well?
bu jugo bu bar ngo ma beru.
So you who know what to do,
Yen
why
me
are
nga
you
mere
waiting
team.
for those who know what to
Pinga
do
iti
but they are not doing
koro.
it? Huh?
Jo maginge ngo mere kutime a bigiti ka timone.
You must form a coalition and do what needs to be done.
Miero bin wono ka chiel u chak tim ngo mo tambe miero time.
Pastor David, brother of my late friend Walter Ochora,
Pastor David.
is that your name?
Pastor David, yes.
I had a special relationship with Walter
One
Ochora.
belo rema choko to alwen get lieli Walter Ochora.
And I used to tease him on the announcement he made on 27th of July 1985.
Na twaro yele announcement mo kere radio cha.
He went in the radio station.
Mo chere radio station.
He said the government of Obote has been overthrown.
Ko wa yemen gamana po bordong o te ko porro ko.
Stay indoors.
Obdoi atu dikalu po
You are not
akigan.
allowed to be on the street.
Pe oberi street mo.
And then he turned because there was only one radio.
Keno radio
He
tia
said,
chele kan.
what else do you want me to say?
Chula ka wa.
The
Do
whole
pa kena
country
ngo
is
keno mi na
listening.
waji. Eno chwa announcement mere to.
It means that they were young boys
Tela ka no kena wo matiano.
trying to play with leadership
Mano itika to kitela.
and they needed help.
No ke miero konyi ya da.
See, people need to understand how people think.
Dano
They-
miero ni angkira dano
you
tamo kwere.
apply. So anyway, I have a special relationship.
Wano
With
rema
you.
da ki lielu chora.
And the bishop said he's also your cousin.
Bishop we en beno beru maru.
So I will meet with you when I come back.
Ka
I
du
take
chen
the
we ruate
appointment.
omego.
And I hear you, I think I explained price incentive.
Lokom nano wel jemi.
It's good to start with the price and the market,
Chaki wel mati chuki.
but you must have all the 8 bridges to
And
supply
pema
that
bor
price.
ni nyo weng mi nen kite ngolo ne.
You won't
Wek
get
jemi
a-
ni oka mero weye.
You won't get a good price if you've not done those bridges.
Baby no
I
wel
mentioned.
abe. Kape ngolo pema bor en ma waje pia.
And we have to work together on that.
Dok miero wati wono ka cheli pi jemi.
I didn't know that there's an industrial park land in Gulu.
Pange ni kamome kero park me
I-
industries nyo factory ti gulu.
I last saw the president come through here with the investment authority recently.
We apo aladit lobo bino kanki investment authority kan.
They were launching industrial parks.
Uno gitika tiar kamaleng industrial park.
Wasn't it here?
Kan ko? Pe kan?
So again, let me not politicize this.
Wek pa tiare
So
we biye ko.
every industrial park
Industrial park weng maberi ye kama
must
factory beri
be
ye
based
maduong.
on a value added onto that park.
O miero jenge kom jemi mabeji mai biene kom park.
An industrial park to make people happy, but it does not have the capacity to supply products, is not a good industrial park.
Industrial park maberi tie down chungi beri ye majuma ampe beri ki kero. Me mino dano ngo miete konye peka.
If we work together
Ka wano war ka chel ba.
and we say we have a small team looking at what's the opportunity in
Doko
Gulu,
wachi watiki team matika neno gum mati gulu kan.
what is the market back to the farm?
Nilmeno.
You reverse the process.
Ma aki chuk chere bot farm.
What
We are ngo
products
matie.
can be processed here?
Ngo mo kana magi tiare yupne kan.
What land is available?
Ngom tie mono.
What markets are available?
Chuk ko tie.
Then what kind of funding
Ket kon me lima ngo.
is required to do this work?
Miete wek teacher no
How will
time.
the money be returned?
Chene ene kibe duwa ni.
You see, leaders should ask all those hard questions.
La tela makuiri miro pen
It's
pen
not
matewe yo
to
ne wen.
take a picture and say an industrial park, but
Pe-
it's nothing.
Pe lok man industrial park.
If you have
Obutimo ngo.
land
Ngom tie.
and what you lack is that analysis,
Ka gin maurem ungiyo kor ke
can
kor.
we work together?
Watu watu kachel.
Because there are people who can finance industrial parks, but
Piano
there must be
yada-
a value add. that
Pienti
you bring.
da joma twero mi chene wek industrial park betie.
again-
Eno bu meru ke rango ye.
Again, if we could work with this small team that was appointed,
Ka ono watu watu kiti matire ma kichimo ni.
not for them to be gatekeepers.
Pe gien me belu ku do
Not
gola.
to say, now you don't talk to Odrek unless you talk to
Pe
me.
wa ini ya.
I know Jokenet can do that. He's a business person.
Angela dia jokene petro ati momeno
These are-
petro gengo dano.
these
Me
are
biono
church
bora.
people.
Man jo meka nicha.
Expand this,
Onwa kene matut.
and we call it like a strategic thinking club on
Chi
what
wa
can
wachi
we
mano
do
beru tam dulme nywa ko tam kachel.
for what I called ecosystem.
Pingo pikelu jemi mawano mero.
You remember I said you must come together on a product,
Awachi mero bedi kachel kom ngomo mero
look
yopone.
at the markets and the capacity available,
Unen chuki kerma tie.
and we aim correctly what we are looking for.
Ka dong wa look wa nana ti ngoma wano ti mero ne.
It's tough work, but someone
But
has
teach
to do
matek
it.
ena wachawa bion kachel. Dul matire wachawa tamane wachawa tikar.
Can I stop here, people? I
Ujana wa
really-
yewa age kanba.
Thank you very much. God
Before you
bless you.
try, le ba mi yogum.
Gifts. Each Each one of us has gifts. Each one of us has talent. What do you do that doesn't get you tired, even if it's midnight? Have you discovered it? Let me tell you, if you discover that which you do without ceasing, there is your job. There is your enterprise. There is your business. When you don't know each other and you don't know yourself, someone will fix you, and they will fix you for life. Change starts with you, and we cannot overcome badness or evil unless we are united under national ethos. We are now going to tackle the roots, and the roots will give us the fruits we need. Don't underrate the knowledge of the people who have made it in your community. Listen, men of God, I ask you to take leadership responsibly.